Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. I really am. You know how many times we say, hey, I'm so excited that you're here. But I really am, because you're in for a treat. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Daphne Clark, and I have an accent. And hopefully you can all hear that I'm South African, but I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. So the first thing you need to write down is my name, because you want to be my friend, because one day you will want to come and visit me in Canada. Okay. And our front door is literally unlocked 95% of the time. But I love having people. Actually, let me just show you where I live quick. See if I've got an image. Does anybody know where Lake Louise is? Let's look on my desktop. Will I have Lake Louise? Oh, my desktop, Darren. Oh, there we are. So this is my backyard, guys, like an hour from me. Okay. Karina, do you want to come visit me?
Yes, please.
It's exactly this beautiful, guys. And the hikes around here are awesome. This is one of the most photographed lakes in the world. So that's Lake Louise. But anyway, so we live in Calgary. This week, everyone's wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots because it's the Calgary Stampede. The good news is that Alberta, the province I live in, is open. That means no more masks, no more restrictions. But the rest of Canada, where Holly is from, is still in heavy lockdown. And so I don't ever want to actually boast and tell everyone how happy I am right now. But guys, I am happy. I'm a South African that loves having people in my home. So for a year and a half, not having my front door open where I can teach belly to belly or have people over has been hard. Do you know why you are here today? I should have some yeses. Okay, somebody's got Valdette's got her hand up. I want to introduce you to an incredible friend, leader, mama of three, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Holly. Holly, so say hi before I shout out the accolades and how we know one another.
Hello.
Hello. She cannot speak Afrikaans, okay?
I can't. I wish.
So, Holly, thanks, my precious, for being on this call with us today, okay? Holly, how do I know this beautiful lady? So, she has been the friend that looked after my kids when I was giving birth to the last baby. So you can see how close we are. Holly came into my life. Oh, man. If Taylor, my youngest, is 19, Holly we've known each other for 22, 23 years. We worked together in Toronto. I was a children's pastor and I needed someone to support and help our preschoolers. And along comes Holly, comes into my life. At that stage, she had no kids. At that stage, she wanted to be at births and help people with births and was giving advice, but had not had her own children. She has had, actually, I don't know, when did Nurturing naturally start? When did you have your own booth or your own shop with all natural things?
So Nurtured opened when Zach was 4. He's 13 now.
Can you believe he's 13?
Yeah,
you actually were at my house.
We started a Better Birth, though. Dawn and I started Better Birth when we still worked just right before we left TCF. So we ran that business together 17 years ago.
A Better Birth, helping mothers with the birth process. I remember you coming to my home about a couple of hours before you went into labor with Zach, as big as can be.
Literally 3 hours before. Yeah.
And then you went home and gave birth on the bathroom floor.
Almost.
Almost.
In an ambulance.
Oh, well, Holly, and you know what, you've gone from owning your own your own shop, being a doula, helping so many with that journey, and now you are a sought after speaker by doTERRA leaders around the world because of your love for babies. Your kids are now, how old are they? I mean,
13, 9, and 6, and 8 weeks.
What? Did you just say 8 weeks? Holly, are you serious?
But my kids don't know yet.
That is the most amazing news. Oh, guys.
You all got the big announcement. There you go.
Okay.
Nobody knows. I had
No,
to tell
okay,
Daphne. I could not tell Daphne.
guys, I feel like crying. I tell you why, because I've known how Holly has wanted another baby for so long. Okay, and I've watched her journey and listened, and the disappointment of not getting pregnant. Holly, you with South Africans, and we say fall pregnant. Oh, Holly, that is
I'll do
awesome news. Okay, how quiet do I have to be and not tell people about this?
For now, it's
Oh,
quiet.
congratulations, Holly.
My mother doesn't know yet, so.
Okay. Woo! Okay, we went.
You
Oh.
knew my mom.
All right, well, we'll be praying for a safe everything with that baby. Okay, and then you've got an auntie in Canada, Calgary, who'd love to help in whatever way.
Well, I'm telling you, Alberta's looking very appealing to us right now. All us
Yeah.
Ontarians are like, where should we be moving?
Yeah, they're all coming out here.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel emotional. That news is the best news ever. Okay,
We all need good news.
it's made my day really, Holly, amazing. If I could take 2 minutes, I'd be praying just a blessing on that baby, and that's what I'll be doing. Okay, that whole pregnancy to go well. And you didn't have oils right in the beginning, so I know you're going to share your journey. You're going to focus mainly on oils and babies. Guys, there's a few things that you need to remind me. I want to give away a kid's kit at the end. If your video is on, you can win this. So if you're a South African sitting in your pajamas right now with curlers in your hair, you're going to want to get onto video. I want you interactive. Okay, this is relational. Hey, Beverly.
I have a prize too. I'm giving away one of our teething oils.
You're amazing. We all love winning. So
There you
the way I'm going to do the draw at the end, I'm going to go to the Cinduit where people registered. And Holly's going to choose a number. There's about 80 of you registered. At the moment, I only see 50 on. Only if you're on with your video. Okay, can you be in this draw? Holly, you're going to give me a number at the end, and then I'm just going to go and see what that number is. All right. So if there are people that should be on this call, give them a shout and tell them jump on, because the kids collection is like 130 US or Canadian dollars. I don't know. It is an awesome collection. If you do win it and you're from South Africa, you have to wait till I fly into the country. Okay. Are you guys ready? Holly, if anyone has questions, you can write them in the chat message. Nicolene, would you help me just keep checking if there's something we need? Thank you, Holly, for your time. And I'll hand it over to you.
Sounds good. I'm going to pop in here and share my screen if it'll let me. Give me a second here. Excuse me. All right. This is just a really basic slideshow just to keep me on track. So otherwise I'll talk forever about this, my favorite topic. And thank you for asking me to do this. Same as you, I've missed the in-person events and the trainings and being with all the birth professionals around the world that I have had the pleasure of working with and training. So anyone who's using oils, it doesn't matter if you have babies or don't have babies, you're going to come across, mamas who are expecting or who have just had kids, had babies or have children. So knowing the basics is really valuable, and you're not going to find much of this information that's true. That's solid information. So it is important that you get the info from a trusted source. That's, I think with anything we do in this business, we have to make sure we know where the source is. So give me 1 second here. I'm gonna make that smaller. Okay. You guys see my screen okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're talking about just the basics, just the essentials. And I'm gonna go back for a second. I started Oil Babies when my daughter was about 2.5, 3 years old. I can't remember now. Mainly because I felt as a birth professional, I didn't have the resources at my hands as someone with doTERRA to confidently share with my clients and my patients, my customers, whatever the story was at that point. I needed something solid and trustworthy. And so when I realized that doTERRA's hands are tied a little bit with what they're allowed to say, because they are very open and honest with the FDA and with their governing bodies and with compliance, which I'm very grateful for. After many conversations with some of their researchers and owners and things like that, I felt, very inspired by their encouragement to go ahead and run with this. So it really was, Oil Babies was birthed out of the need for wellness advocates to have good information. What it grew into is a whole other story. It's now, we've kind of come full circle. I now have my online baby store back on and going. I do a lot of teaching and educating on safety, and again, just what are the basics that we need. There's lots of fluff out there. There's lots of misinformation. Babies really don't need a whole lot. And as things come up, it's good to have that information. So that's where this came from. That's why I did this. It's just out of my passion for moms and babies. And I figured, you know, our doTERRA team is thriving. They're an incredible, powerful group of people. We want to keep running with the business, but I also wanted to keep my passion alive for what it is that I'm trained in. So that's where all that came from. All right, so first thing before we do anything, we have to talk safety. And I know I get asked probably multiple times a day. I'd say at this point, I get messages from wellness advocates all over the world messaging me and saying, I don't feel safe or confident recommending oils for babies under 2. You know, what are the safety recommendations? How do we know it's safe? And here's something you need to keep in mind for any age, but specifically for, I'd say 5 and under, 5 years and under, and 1 and under is its own category. But when you're looking at 5-year-olds, 0 to 5-year-olds, you have the ability to choose your oils just with the same knowledge you would for an adult, but your dilution is going to be completely different. And that is your key for safety, is how you dilute, number 1, and where you apply, number 2, and number 3, you have to know their story. You have to know more. So you need a little more information than you might need for an adult. So let's talk first about dilution. We know that the kids rollers, I adore them, and I will use them on babies. I'll use them on my babies because I'm comfortable doing that and I know how to use them. But I have no problem saying to mamas that they are safe to use from 2 and up if they're used as directed, right? Under 2, I do recommend they take those rollers and divide them into 2 or 3 rollers. So you're actually going to take that kids kit for a 1-year-old and under, a 0 to 1-year-old, and you're going to make a triple kit out of it, basically, if that's what they want to do. So for the most part, you know, if you're in a pinch and you have a 1-year-old with a sore tummy, I'm going to take Tamer and I'm going to roll it right on their belly. And we'll talk about specifics in a minute. That won't bother me, and it's not a safety issue for me. If I'm handing a sample or I'm offering an advice to a mom, I'm not going to necessarily say that. I'm going to say, you're going to take this and dilute it double. So you're going to split that bottle in half and top it up with coconut oil. If you want to get really specific, we made up our own dilution chart just for people who really wanted to be clear on this. And that's what it looks like. We have them as magnets and things just so people can throw them on their fridge and keep track of it. But it's in my books and you can, you know, take a screenshot of that, whatever you want. But basically you're doing 1 drop of oil in a 10 ml roller bottle for 0 to a year. That's just your basic safety guideline. You can combine, now if we want to make a blend, you can combine, I feel comfortable combining up to 6 oils in that roller. Okay, so 1 drop of each, up to 6 drops. Now, having said that, can you put 6 drops of lavender in a 10 ml roller for, you know, a 2 or 3 month old? Yes, you can. It's not, nothing's going to hurt them in that way. So we're using this is where you have to, you know, use your judgment. We're using this more as a guideline for people who have no idea how to use oils. And I don't, you know, I can't guarantee that this sleep deprived mom is not going to put 20 drops of peppermint on her newborn. So I want to be able to give them something that is, I know, 100% safe. And it's a simple guideline to follow. If you're experienced using oils, you can play around with this a little bit, again, based on the story, based on your involvement in this customer interaction or whatever that is. Does this make sense? So I'd like to give you a hard, fast rule. That's why we made the list. But feel safe, feel confident because of the quality of our oils and the purity, that as long as you are diluting very well, a lot of dilution for 0 to 1, you're fine. You're okay to use what you need to use. And then as we go up, I kind of just go up in years. So 1 to 2, you're doubling up your drops. 2 to 4, you can do up to 2 to 4 drops. 4 to 6, 3 to 4 drops. It's, again, that's per oil. I would never combine more than 6 oils in a blend for children under 5, simply because if there is a skin reaction, if there's unwanted results, which honestly I've never had happen, but if there were to be something, it's really hard to pick out what it was if you have a bunch of oils in there. Which one did it, right? So I always love to start with single oils and then work my way through blends if I have the availability to do that, if it's not a, you know, an immediate thing I need to do. So when I was talking about know your customer, this is important because I don't know if you're a mama, you know how protective you are of your babies, right? And we tend to get nervous with our own kids when it's something that's new to us. If it's something that there is a lot of misinformation about, they're going to Google and they're going to find all kinds of warnings about not using oils for this or that. And those are important warnings because they don't know our quality. They don't know how safe our oils actually are. And they also don't know that you are trained in dilution. So you have to know your customer. What is their comfort level? Asking a mama and saying, are you comfortable putting oils on your baby's body if I give you a safe dilution? Some of them will say no, and that's totally fine. Are you comfortable diffusing this in a safe amount? Yes, no, you go with what it is that they are comfortable trying. But giving them the confidence that you know what you're talking about is really important, right? If you say to them, well, I'm not sure how safe this is. And I've heard people say this and I'm like, no, stop it. You can't use lines like that. Of course, you know how safe it is. We know that these are pure, potent, and safe, and you know how to dilute. So when you walk in that confidence, when you're dealing with your customer, with your friends, your family, whatever it is, you can say to them, I know that this works. I know I can dilute it safely for your baby, your child. And if you're comfortable, I can show you how to use it on their wherever, right? Feet, tummy, spine, and how often to do it. I rarely have had moms say no to that. Sometimes they want to just start with diffusing when they're, younger kids, and with their babies, sometimes they don't want to diffuse because they're not sure how they will, respond to diffusing. Totally fine. So you need to get to know your customer and make sure that you're respectful of what their comfort level is, but walk in that confidence that you're there to help them. And you need to find out some things like, was your baby premature? Are there any developmental or physical health concerns I should know about? It's important to know if they were a preemie baby because their adjusted age is a little different. So you're going to want to know, just because they were born at 30 weeks and they're now 3 months doesn't necessarily mean you're going to dilute to a 3-month-old. You're going to go almost right down to almost a newborn dilution. Is that making sense? So getting to know some details without asking for their whole life story. Get to know what they're comfortable with and do your best to walk in the confidence that you do know what you're doing. Even if you don't have children, even like Daphne said, I was helping mamas birth babies. I was in hospitals, in births, years before I ever had one of my own, which is unusual. I'll be honest. I thought nobody would hire me because of that. But I had a good reputation in my business and, had lots of referrals from the moms I worked with. And I think it's just the passion to take care of people was evident, and it was a big part of that. So don't ever let that stop you from serving customers who need things that maybe you don't feel you can relate to. That doesn't mean you don't have the knowledge or the ability to help them. Okay, we're going to jump right into some specifics, and you feel free to put in questions. I can't see questions right now, but I will come back to them. So I'll zoom through them so I don't take too long, but I'm going to take you through some of the most common asked questions that I've gotten over the years. And just as a mom and as a birth professional, these are things that I always wished I had known a bit more on a natural side. What can I do? How can I help them with this? So right from birth, newborn cord care. So that umbilical cord, they'll tell you, you don't need to put anything on it. And some cultures, some parts of the world, they might still recommend you put rubbing alcohol on it. We now know that that's not actually very good for it. So they typically in North America, they will clamp the cord with that little clip you can see in the picture there. It's a little plastic clip that keeps the cord tight and that helps it dry out a little faster. But what can happen, and often happens, it gets very smelly, right? Because it's basically rotting flesh. So it starts to get really dark, really, really stinky. And what you can do is use something like a diluted myrrh. Myrrh is fantastic for the belly button. Frankincense. I always say that this is the wise men combination. So I like to use helichrysum, frankincense, and myrrh. And I just use either a little cotton or a little Q-tip, just something that you can rub it on gently around just the cord itself and gently around where it attaches to the belly button itself. But you're not rubbing it on baby's belly or anything else. You're just coating it onto the cord. Another thing that is important to keep in mind is that layering oils is often, I wouldn't say often, is sometimes more effective than just combining it all into a blend. So I do like to layer them on in this instance, and especially with newborns, I like to layer single oils on instead of mixing them together. So you would take a little bit of helichrysum diluted, massage that onto the cord, a little bit of frankincense diluted, massage it on, and then I like to finish off with myrrh. That can be repeated often. It can be repeated every couple of hours. I like to tell mamas, just do it every time you change a bum, right? Every time a diaper gets changed, because that cord needs to kind of be kept air drying. So keep a couple little bottles of that right by the diaper changing, wherever you're doing that, a little Q-tip, and you can just go pop, pop, rub it on each one, and away you go. Okay, so that really simple, basic cord care, you do that right until the cord falls off. And if there was any signs of inflammation or redness, beyond what should be there, sometimes it can get a little infected. And then you're going to just increase the amount of times you're adding those on. That's it. So they're all good oils for keeping infection down and for helping that heal quickly, a little less stinky and a little more effective in its process. Next one is baby scalp. And I don't know how many of you had babies or experienced this with babies who have cradle cap. My youngest always called it cradle crap. And we thought that was really funny because he had it forever. He had like just ongoing, I think until he was almost 2.5, he would get patches of it on his scalp. And I learned it was by the time I had my third, it took me that long to learn this, but I learned it does have a yeast root. So the yeast in your bloodstream, if you have a high yeast content, it doesn't necessarily mean yeast infection. It means there's yeast overgrowth or candida overgrowth in their body. It's fed by sugars. It's fed just by the gut. So it signaled to me when I learned that to increase his infant probiotics. So we did that. We made sure we kept that up on a daily basis. And then there's some really basic, for any baby, whether it ends up being a chronic condition or not, every baby goes through a little bit of scalp, just residual skin. So really simple routine for their scalp care is you can do coconut oil. And I'll give you this little tip though. Coconut oil on the head and face can clog the pores. So if you have an issue with skin breakouts, with acne or anything like that, any of our blends that are diluted with coconut oil, I would say make your own and don't use coconut oil because that tends to be a trigger for skin. And it's the same for babies. So I love coconut oil to moisturize their body. It's one of the best oils you can use, just pure coconut oil, massage it in after bath times. They don't really need anything else on them. But when it comes to their scalp or their face, I prefer either apricot seed oil, jojoba oil. You can do sweet almond, rose hip oil. Those are all fantastic. You can get good ones at most health food places, Amazon. Just look for a good, pure, clean version of it, organic. So you're going to use, again, you could do a 10 mil, you could do a quarter of a cup, however you want to do this. I used to put it in a little empty glass jar or baby food jar. And I did about a quarter cup of sweet almond oil or jojoba oil. And then I would do the same. I would do a drop of myrrh, a drop of frankincense, and a drop of geranium. So we can write those 3 down. That's one of my favorite combos for scalp. If it is a persistent issue, you're going to want to add a drop of tea tree in there because that will help break down if there is any yeast going on. It does help with that a little bit, but it is strong. Tea tree tends to be strong, so you dilute a little further. That gets massaged into their scalp a couple of times a day. And then you want a really good little baby brush with strong bristles. It might sound counterintuitive, but you want to give that scalp a good scrub once the oils have soaked in, because you actually want to flake off the crust that happens on the top of their head. You want that to come off so that this can absorb into their scalp. So that's a really simple one, very good for them. And it's good for their body overall because we know what goes on their skin is going to be absorbed by their body. So those oils in particular are extremely good for their immune system. They're good for their brain health, for all those good things you want for your baby at that stage. They're very protecting. The geranium is actually a really nice, very gentle hormone balancing oil as well, because babies tend to have some hormone fluctuating going on, especially if mama's breastfeeding. So all of those are helpful in other ways, not just for their scalp. And that can be used at any age, that combination. If for older kids or if they're over 2, I like to add a drop of tea tree and a drop of rosemary to that combination. And it makes a great scalp spray or scalp massage oil as well. It just started pouring outside. If you can hear it, I don't know. All right, sleep like a baby. The big joke that only newborns sleep like a baby at all the wrong times, right? They never sleep when you want them to. But
True.
yeah, true, right? Sleeping like a baby is, the oxymoron that we don't get much sleep with our babies. But we do have a lot of great options, on hand that we can use to just help calm and help make it part of a bedtime routine. And I'm by no means a sleep expert. I've had the privilege of working with infant sleep specialists. I've interviewed lots of them on my podcast. So I've learned things from them and I'm like, okay, I know what I'm going to do next time. We'll see. So this is something that with our oils combined with a really good sleep routine, starting from a very young age, I'd say starting from as early as you can, with a massage at rest times or sleep times, especially in the evenings, getting the massage down again with some coconut oil, a drop of lavender. It's as simple as that. We really don't need a lot, but you can try a drop of Roman chamomile is a beautiful oil to massage them with at bedtime. Serenity is fine. When we get into blends though, you're looking at, again, not quite knowing what works, what doesn't. So I do like to stick with single oils for little ones. If they're under 6 months of age, try to stick to your single oils and layer them. So oils such as lavender, Roman chamomile, any of our tree oils or root oils. So vetiver, sandalwood is a beautiful one for babies. Very good for their skin as well. Cedarwood, frankincense, those are all really great, but you're only doing 1 drop in 10 mils of oil, right? And it can be as simple as, like I said, it can be as simple as, filling a handful of fractionated coconut oil and adding 1 drop of essential oil. Rub your hands together and that gets massaged into their body. Add another layer of coconut oil. Okay, so it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to have a whole bunch of things mixed up and made up. You can just do a drop in your hand with a good solid squirt, a big handful of coconut oil, and get that massaged into their body. That's a really great way for them to understand a routine of sleep, but also for that brain calming, for the whole system of their body calming for bedtime. And using that as a routine actually becomes a scent related, for that great limbic system relation that happens over time, that even as they get older, even just smelling those oils can be enough to trigger that reminder that this is time to sleep, it's time to calm. And then as they get bigger, you can put it in their diffuser and it becomes, again, part of their bedtime calming routine. So it was nice for me to be able to do that with Ashton, with my last baby, because I was able to go through some of this with him and learn some of these things as we went along. You want to, like I said, stay away from the blends for the first 6 months, but after that, you can use things like Peace. Peace is a really great, the roller is fantastic. You can roll it up their spine, down the soles of their feet, add some coconut oil layered over that. Serenity is a fantastic one. Again, diluted properly. And what's another one? Oh, well, Calmer in the kids roller. Calmer is fantastic. So those are good blends to start with, but like I said, you're going to obviously dilute them appropriately. Bath time basics. I am a very strong advocate of no baths for the first week at minimum. So if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but that really is scientifically now proven to be the best option for babies. When they are born, the vernix and the amazing coating that God put all over them to keep them in there safe and not shriveled up like little prunes, it actually serves a very important purpose for the first 5 to 7 days after they're born, to be absorbed into the skin. So we don't really want to wash that off. One thing you could do is, like you see in the picture, just a little sponge bath for their scalp, for their hair, if it needs a little bit of cleaning, if it's goopy or whatnot. But really just giving it a little wet comb through is pretty much all it needs for the first week to 2 weeks, quite honestly. Sponge bathing is your best option at that point. But when you do go for baby's first bath, if you have expressed breast milk, that's actually a really great thing to add to their bath, really soothing for their skin. It can be absorbed through their belly button as well, which is kind of interesting, and it helps reset some of their gut bacteria. So that's a neat option to add some little bit of expressed breast milk into their bath. But I honestly would just add a little bit of coconut oil into their bath, and that's it for the first few months. You don't want to add oils into their bath water because they float on the surface. And when you think about how you're bathing a newborn or a small baby, they tend to be surface sitters, right? So to have them sitting in bath water with the oils sitting around their skin for that amount of time, not always the best idea. So try to just stick with plain old, coconut oil in the water. However, when it comes to washing them off, there are some great options. Again, when they get to the point where they actually need a bit of soap of some sort, they really don't for the first couple of months. Or if they've had a horrible diaper blowout or something and you're like, this is just gross, we need to wash them with some soap, then a simple recipe that I use, and I'll be honest, it's part of we have our own Oil Babies line of products. It's one of our products, but I have no problem telling you what's in it. We have a great foaming baby bath soap, and it's just, what is it? Dr. Bronner's liquid vegetable soap. And that's it. There's nothing else in there. And then we add a drop of Roman chamomile, a drop of lavender, and a drop of geranium. So that's the 3 that I love in our soaps. And that is a simple little foaming pump. So you just add that. You can add that to one of the doTERRA foaming pumps, and away you go, because it takes very little. And when they're in the foaming pumps, when it comes out as a foam, it's dispersed. So you're not ending up with globs of oil. You're not having to shake anything. It does stay, well mixed in that, and suspended in the vegetable glycerin. So really simple one. It's super clean. They get squeaky clean with that one. And again, soothing for their skin, calming for bed, whatever you want to do with that. So that's a really easy, make your own. It's a great little gift for someone who just had a baby too. You can get a pretty little pump and foaming pump and just put that together for them. And it makes a really nice gift too. Or customers, when they've had a baby, it's a nice thing. All right, tummy troubles. Oh my gosh, I think I get asked this hundreds of times in a week. What can we do for my baby is grumpy and gassy and spitting up, and colic is another story. I'll tell you that one in a minute. But general tummy troubles, for the most part, whether they're breast or bottle fed, is quite common and quite normal. It's when we get into, reflux and colic and a little more severe issues or digestive issues that you want to get the story. Like I said, you want to find out, were they a C-section baby? If they were sectioned, they are much more likely to have an imbalance in their gut bacteria. Was it a vaginal birth? Was it a traumatic birth? Was it a fast birth? So those are kind of questions you can feel free to ask. I mean, without prying, you can just ask them nicely and just say, this can help understand a little bit about why their digestive system is struggling a little bit. Can you tell me a few things about how they were born? Or just tell me their birth story. That sometimes is an easy way to ask that question. And they'll give you those clues. They'll tell you bits about how that went down. So if there was any kind of, unusual process to their birth, whether they needed an assisted delivery or whatnot, that can affect their digestive system. So we can help. We can definitely, do things to help, but there's other things that you can also recommend, like seeing an osteopath or a homeopath or a chiropractor who specializes in babies. They can do a lot with their digestive system as well. And then a good infant probiotic. That's really key as well, especially if they're formula fed, because they're missing the enzymes to break down. We just don't have the right things in our gut to break down milk, cow milk. We're not baby cows, so it doesn't quite work the same in our tummies the way as it does for a baby cow to drink cow milk. So it's good to know those things. It's just good to have those questions and answers. So a good infant probiotic will depend on your country, but just something that is recommended for infants. You want to make sure it's meant for that. There's one we use here that's a Genestra Natogen is one company that I use, and it's called an infant Natogen. It's a little powder. You can get drops for their tummy, and it's just an internal taking of it. We don't use our doTERRA powders until they're at least eating solids and they've gone through most of the fruits and veggies. So you can use our PB Assist Junior packets. They can take those after 1. So after they're a year, as long as they're eating solid foods. If you're using a packet, a doTERRA packet, it's a quarter packet at 1 year of age. You'd be doing a quarter pack every 2 days. So unless they're having really bad, really serious digestive issues, every couple of days is enough, a quarter of a packet. As they get up to 2, then we go to half a packet, 3, 2/3, right? And then when you're 4 and on, you're doing a full packet. So just to give you an idea for our PB Assist Junior, it's fantastic. We just want to make sure that they're eating their foods before they get into that one. The other oils that we're going to use, now I do get asked this often, can we use DigestZen for babies with tummy troubles? You can, but I'll tell you, you'll probably get babies spitting up if you do. It is amazing for children and for, onward, but it can be a little intense for baby tummies. So when they came out with the Tamer roller, it made my world. I was so happy because I had been having to explain over and over again, those are a little strong for baby tummies. So can we just mild that down a little bit and work with oils like fennel, spearmint. What's another good one that I love? Just lost it. Fennel and spearmint.
Ginger bee one that you,
Ginger, yes. Ginger when they're over 6 months because it's a hot oil. So that one we just got to watch. Unless they're sick, they're unwell. Ginger is great on the soles of their feet for their whole body and also for their tummies. But yeah, I think fennel and spearmint are my two main ones that I love for their tummies. And again, you can just use those single oils and dilute them down onto their bellies, or you can use the Tamer roller. It's fantastic. It really is that simple. With newborns, it can be as easy as 1 drop fennel, 1 drop lavender in 10 mils of coconut oil. That can be enough right there. Massage around their belly, soles of their feet, and doing the massage in the clockwise motion with a little bit of pressure, a little bit of warmth is really helpful. So there's lots of little tips you can, help people with, troubleshoot how to help them out. But when you're dealing with things like chronic constipation or colic, that there's definitely a deeper issue going on. And that's where you'd need to ask a few more questions and recommend a few more things. We're not the end all and be all. We don't need to have all the solutions, but we can definitely be solution providers. And I think that's really important that you don't be afraid to refer them and just say, I have a blend that I think would work, or I have a single oil I think you could try to help with symptoms, but you might want to consider X, Y, and Z as well. All right, teething. This is another big one, and it's often connected to tummy and skin. Those are kind of all combined together because it also is triggered by the gut enzymes. So when babies start teething, it also signals their tummies to start producing different enzymes so they're able to digest different foods now. So when we say that food before 1 is just for fun, it's true, but they do generally some earlier, some later, start teething around 6 months, which is generally around the time you can start introducing some fruits or veg. The issue we have seen with teething is there's a lot of misinformation on how to take care of that, and the correlation between when teeth are erupting and what foods they can then have. So it sounds odd, but if you look at the holistic side of things, they technically don't eat meat until they have meat teeth, which is their molars. So it's the same as grains. You technically don't have the enzymes to break down grains until your eye teeth and first molars start to come in. And yet that is the traditional form of introducing foods, has always been cereals. So we see a huge uprise since that recommendation came years ago in the intolerance to certain grains because of what they've done to processing in our infant cereals now. So it actually is recommended in the holistic side of things. You won't find this from a traditional, nutritionist, but on the holistic side of things, it is highly recommended you leave grains and meats until much later. So you go through all your fruits and veg first while they're getting those teeth coming and as they're going through the teething process. And then when their teeth are starting to come further into their mouth, then you can move into other foods. So that was just a little aside for you with the teeth connection. But teething, there are teething gels that are very popular and they're on the market, and I'm always amazed that they still allow them because they have sugar and alcohol. I think it's astonishing that in North America we can still stick sugar and alcohol in our babies' gums and not expect to have some issues there. So I don't like that. I wanted to have another option for moms, and I wanted to have something safe that we knew could be near their mouth, in their mouth, around their mouth. So I did actually create a teething blend, but you can make your own. It's as simple as, again, coconut oil, or if you're putting it onto their cheeks, then another carrier oil that is not coconut, like the ones I've listed. And then I like to use Copaiba. It's an amazing blend for teething, completely safe for babies. I love Siberian fir as well. Fantastic for that. And lavender. Just very simple 3 oils. You can start with 1. I always say just start with lavender if you've used that, if you're comfortable with that. And you're going to, again, dilute it as already directed. It's going to be massaged all along the gum line. So wherever their gums are under their cheeks, you can push on their little cheekies and find it along their jawline. You massage it on the outside of their face first. And you start at the jawline up at the corner and you massage down towards the front of their face, over their gums, over their teeth, over their lips. And then as they kind of get used to that routine, you can then also after you've done this, whatever is left on your finger can be massaged directly onto their gums. Now, again, remember, there's going to be moms who are not comfortable with that. I am 100% comfortable with that. Actually, I remember Kelly Oji would tell this story. I flew down to Miami with a very, very small infant Ashton at the time, all by myself. And I was teaching her first class. Ashton was in the carrier on the front of me, and I had a whole room full of people in her kitchen and her living room. And he was fussy and it was late and he was tired and jet lagged. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this might not go well because, you know, I don't have anyone here to look after him. And as I'm just teaching, as it was just my routine, I took a bottle of lavender right in front of everybody and I just tipped it upside down. It was not diluted. So, you know, in hindsight, if it wasn't my baby, I would never do this, but I was desperate. I tipped it upside down and I put one little bit on the tip of my finger and I just rubbed it across his face and then rubbed it inside his mouth. And everyone was kind of, I didn't know this at the moment, but everyone was watching like, what the heck did she just do to her baby? And within 5 minutes, he was sound asleep. And everyone in the room was just blown away. And I wasn't paying any attention because I was just kind of panicking that I had a very fussy baby and I had to finish this class. And at the end, we had 2 people who enrolled right because of that. And they're like, we enrolled the minute that baby fell asleep. I couldn't believe you just used lavender and he was done. So it can be that simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. Any one of those oils will work on their own. Like I said, start with what mom has or start with what they're comfortable with and go from there. But you can also, as 6 months and on, you can also blend those together. And that's what we've done to make an Oil Babies teething blend, to make it simple. Ooh, this poor little guy. I feel so bad when I see this picture. This was my Emma. She looked like this. She had terrible eczema. Her poor little cheeks, I always thought they're going to crack right open. She had big, big chubby cheeks and they were always so red and raw. This is a gut situation. So again, I don't know if you've been asked this lots as much as I have, but always asked how, you know, my baby's got has eczema or skin rashes, what can we do? There's a couple of things, and not always is this welcome information. I have to go carefully with some mothers, but the bottom line is it's almost 100% of the time exacerbated or triggered or made worse by dairy. So if they're a formula fed baby, that can be tricky. I often recommend they switch to a non-dairy formula, but that is a huge trigger for eczema at any age. Wheat and dairy. So white processed grains, wheat in general, and dairy are huge, huge instigators for the gut reaction that creates eczema. So those would be my first eliminations, and they'd need to be eliminated for a long time, not just for a month or 2. We're talking for a year or more. Then again, you're going to look at their gut flora, the gut bacteria, and that's where the probiotic comes in. But when it comes to their skin, it is very tricky because it's the gut talking. So any output on a baby or any person, any skin output is your body's first message. And the problem is we tend to just cream it over and move on and not get to the root of it. And I hope you all can take something away from that today, is just no matter who you're helping, if it's a skin issue, there's something deeper. There's something else happening, and it's almost always gut related, digestion related. So it could be that they are extremely backed up and they didn't even notice, right? They wouldn't even know it. We call it fecal loading. So that's a very common one for adults to have happen with skin reactions. It could be a food reaction, right? It could be that their gut isn't happy with something. It's most likely, again, a dairy or wheat trigger as well. So when you have little ones like this, if they're under a year, your best option is Zendocrine. It might be a surprise, but we want to clear the liver, right? We want to help the liver process and detox some of this buildup. So 1 drop of Zendocrine, if they're under 6 months, in 10 ml of coconut oil on the soles of their feet. If they're over 6 months, it can be done over the liver as well. Okay, soles of the feet and rolled over the liver and massaged over the liver. That, along with what I was saying, eliminating some of those triggers and then working on building up some gut flora with an infant probiotic. And then for their face, for their skin, Rose is phenomenal. The Rose roller is really gentle, really helpful for their skin. So is Yarrow Palm, but it has to be highly diluted. So you would do like 1 drop of Yarrow Palm, the actual oil, not the serum, not the body serum, like the actual, you know what I mean? The dropper of oil. 1 drop in 10 ml, no matter if they're 1 or not. So from 1 and under, you really need to dilute that one down, but it does have great soothing and healing properties. Correct-X is also incredible if the skin has broken and it's cracked over, it's dried over, but it will sting. So again, Correct-X, but diluted. So those are really good options for helping the skin tissue itself heal up. But you have to be very careful with that because broken skin is very sensitive and baby skin is sensitive. Anything with a rash, I prefer to treat the insides first and see how much the rash, resolves itself. Or I go straight to something like a very highly diluted rose oil, or like I said, a Euro Pump, something that's very gentle for the skin and very easy and soothing. Because if you start layering oils onto skin that is already angry, you tend to get angrier skin. So keep that in mind. If it's skin, you're going to look inside. I think that's the end. There we go. So I'll get out of here for a second. There. That was a lot I packed in there. Sorry if I talked
That was
fast.
awesome. I learned about probiotics for kids. I didn't even think of, taking the kids' probiotic and breaking it down. And so, yes, I think someone needs to take notes. Someone needs to watch again and take notes and send them to me.
Well, the next book, my next book is coming out. So hopefully if I can get through it by the end of the year, it'll all be in the book.
Yeah, I have some questions, Hal.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've heard this before. Don't use lavender on boys.
Oh, yes, that's true. I've heard that. Not that it's true. I've heard that. Not true. So I'll give you a really quick story of where that came from. There was one very poorly done study many, many years ago that Tisserand got onto, Robert Tisserand, who's they call the father of modern aromatherapy. And it involved 2 boys. That's it. 2 boys who were studied whose mother had used some type of lavandin, which is a base of lavender. So not even pure lavender oil. And one had shown some development of hormones, basically like a breast growth trigger type hormones, an endocrine response, and the other something similar. So when they further looked into this, they realized, no, there were so many other factors that had played into that and were related and responsible for these other things that had happened, that it had 0 correlation to the lavandin at all. So no. That's a myth that's been busted, which is great to know. So you can continue to bust that myth now that you know as well. It will come up and it's constantly Googled. Sadly, it just keeps coming out because people keep Googling it and it'll just keep living on. But nope, it does not affect boys. It does not have any hormone basis to it in that sense. It only has a positive hormone effect. So.
Excellent. Yeah, there's others here, but you've addressed them. The baby acne, someone asked about probiotics. Constipation. You went through stomach things.
Constipation is again, it's usually based on movement. So if babies are young and it's not unusual for a breastfed baby not to poop for 4 or 5 days, but just simple movement where I actually did, for any of you, if you're on TikTok, I know it's an odd thing to ask, but if you happen to be on TikTok, I may have put it up as well in Instagram Reels, but I do a move where I have a baby and I take their bottom and I just wiggle their bottom back and forth while I'm holding them, and it helps them burp almost instantly. But that movement, it's so simple. You can also do it when they're laying on their back. You just take their little hips and move them side to side, and then you take their legs and you do the bicycle, right? Because babies are only moving in reflex motions for the first few months. So if you are helping them with that hip motion, those circles, that helps them eliminate much easier if they are constipated. So there's other things you can do for constipation, but those oils are fantastic for that. And belly button. Belly button is your little oil cauldron for all ages, not just for, you can do this yourself as well. And like what I said about putting them in the bath with the breast milk, it actually absorbs through the belly button as well, and it helps with their tummy flora. You can actually take a Q-tip with breast milk or with oils that are highly diluted and just massage it into their belly button, because it is a kind of a direct access into the digestive system. That's another good spot.
All right. So Holly, a question from Valdette, and Valdette has just started the journey with oils about 6 weeks ago. How to answer why moms are not allowed essential oils during pregnancy, but babies can use it.
Well, moms are allowed them during pregnancy. It's just that we're always told that you stay away from everything while you're pregnant, right? So I use them through all my pregnancies that I had oils for. So Ashton was my oil baby because I used oils from day one right through to the minute he was born. You use them the same as you would any other time when you're pregnant. I can tell you that with doTERRA's oils, there is nothing I avoid in pregnancy other than oregano internally in large amounts. So in the first trimester, I just don't feel comfortable using oregano internally in large amounts, simply because if you overdo it, which is pretty hard to do with oregano, I'll be honest, like nobody wants to overdo it with oregano. But the only possibility is there's bleeding possibility with oregano. That's it. There's nothing else. There is no other pregnancy caution or contraindication with doTERRA's oils. Clary sage, I have no problem. I use Clary Calm through my whole pregnancy for hormone balancing, and just, it's amazing. I'm not going to be rubbing my belly with 20 drops of Clary sage, right? It's just, the only way you'd have an issue in pregnancy is if you had no clue how to use the oils and you just were dumping them on you or drinking them, right? So if you know how to use oils, you can safely use them through pregnancy as directed, like you would anyway. You're just going to maybe dilute a little more than normal because your skin is more sensitive, you're more scent sensitive. But when people say that, I say, yeah, you're absolutely right. I know that there's lots of cautions about using oils in pregnancy. However, since learning about oils and learning the difference in the quality and how to use them safely, I feel completely comfortable and confident using them through pregnancy as needed. And that's the key. Is a lot of people think you're just dumping oils on yourself all day long. I mean, I haven't used a single oil yet today other than some lemon in my water. So it's as things come up, right? I love the ginger candies for morning sickness. I love the breathe candies for morning sickness. I love the peppermint beadlets for indigestion or just calming your tummy. Like, they're fantastic. I don't know how I would get through, especially when I was pregnant with Ashton. I don't know how I would have got through it without some of those things.
Do you think the doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality supplements, you know, the 3 containers, the fish oils, the multivitamin, and the Alpha CRS, is that safe to take as during pregnancy? Because we know we need supplementation, Holly. And I do know the answer to this. Okay, I'm just asking.
Not only is it safe, it's number one. It's the best. So I can tell you, after 2 babies without any of this and 1 baby with it, the massive difference in my nausea, morning sickness, my energy levels, all of that in the first trimester when I didn't have Lifelong Vitality was intense. And as soon as I had it with my last baby, oh my goodness, night and day. Like, so yes, they're incredible. And the only thing I do recommend is that mamas add in a folic acid if they are concerned about their folate intake. So I'm very consistent with my dark leafy greens. I make sure I'm getting a lot of that already in my diet. So I'm comfortable taking the Lifelong Vitality, and I only add on, so I don't do a full milligram of folic acid. I only add on a tiny bit. I think mine's like 0.3 something. I add on a little bit more just for the first 12 weeks. And that's it. Other than that, from that point on, I'm 100% Lifelong Vitality.
Awesome. Okay, Mariki, her question was Zengest for colic, but I think you said use of Zengest can often lead to.
Yeah, I don't like it for babies under 1. It's just, I just over experience and over time using it, I find babies tend to spit up more. They end up with more reflux. And it's not because, I mean, maybe it does need to come up, you know, it's not a big deal, but it's not that it's dangerous or anything else. I just don't find it as effective or gentle as Tamer. So now that we have Tamer, it's a really good one to have on hand to sample people. It's important to have. It's a good one.
And Tamer is one of the 7 oils that's in this collection that someone's going to win. Yeah. It's the kids collection, and it's in every country.
Yeah, I have it right beside me. We use it all the time, and I use it. Again, that one's the one that goes on my belly button. It's fantastic. And you can just smell it. Like if you have mamas with morning sickness, just smelling Tamer is amazing. You can roll it just under your nose, across your top lip. It's fantastic.
And I wish to be pregnant again at 55. Hey, Darren. Okay. No. That shop is closed. Okay, so here we are. Question is, Cynthia says, any suggestions for a prem twin babies battling to adjust to the world outside of the womb?
Yeah, you do have to be careful with any preem babies because they're just much more sensitive to everything, right? Their skin is more sensitive. Their systems are not quite as fully developed as a full-term baby. So I prefer to just work with things on the soles of their feet as probably for the first 3 months, and their spine, if it's something like, you know, lavender or Roman chamomile or even frankincense. Those are ones, again, if you're doing 1 drop in 10 mils minimum, that can be massaged into their spine to help with the nervous system. Boosting their immune system. The stronger roller diluted is fantastic. So that can be done on the soles of their feet daily. Yeah, I know one of the ones I've done a lot with preemie babies is for jaundice. We've done quite a bit with that on the soles of their feet, and that's just geranium and lemon. It's really simple and it works fast. Like we've been able to avoid heat lamps and, you know, therapy beds and all that stuff with a lot of babies for that. So yeah, if they're preemies, I'd say from 0 to 3 months, corrected age, you would want to stick with that dilution of 1 drop of oil to 10 mil and layer the oils as opposed to putting up to 6 drops in a 10 mil. Does that make sense? So you could just do 1 at a time layered onto their body.
So Holly, there are some people that are new to oils that are on today's call or webinar, and it's going to be strange for them to hear that you're putting oils on the bottom of their feet. You know, so
yeah, well, it's funny because when we first started, like we used to tell people, it's so funny to be corrected on this now, but I'm like, it makes sense. We were always saying to people that, well, you've got the larger pores on the soles of your feet. And I remember it was actually a nurse, a foot specialist that I spoke to, and she goes, and I said that to her just in passing, we were conversing, and she turned and stopped and went, what? And I went, well, yeah, because you have larger pores on the soles of your feet, so it's absorbed. She goes, no, you don't. She goes, not at all. Your pores are everywhere on your skin, and they're not larger or smaller anywhere. She goes, it's just pores, and you don't absorb things through your pores. I'm like, okay, that made me feel really stupid because I never thought about it, right? And it's true. When I actually learned, I was teaching homeschooling my kids this year on the human body, and we're learning about the epidermis and how it absorbs through the layers of the skin tissue. And I'm going, oh my goodness, that makes so much more sense.
Mhm.
So we don't tell people it's because there's pores in the soles of your feet. We tell in Chinese medicine specifically, the ears, right around here on the edges of your ears and the soles of your feet, and in reflexology, all of that, you have rooted parts of your body, your organs in your soles of your feet and your ears. So it actually is a really great delivery method, especially on sensitive skin, right? Or if you're using a spice oil, or if you're using something you're not sure about, or you're not too sure what needs to be affected, right? You're just not feeling well. The spine and the soles of the feet are your first spot to go. It's just a simple way to apply. Now with babies, I also love to do ear massage, right? You start at the tip of the ears up here and you massage in little circles all the way around right down to the earlobes. Fantastic bedtime
someone-
massage, calming
Most probably
massage.
Simone, just mute yourself. Let me see.
But yeah, soles of the feet for babies is fast and effective. It's just is a great way to get to the liver. It's a great way to get to the kidneys, and just get it into their bloodstream and their full body system exchange. It's just a fast, easy way. And then you're not stressing about sensitivity in the same way as you would on their face or their tummy or their arms, you know.
Thank you. I learned something. I tell people the pores on your feet are so much bigger.
It's not true.
All right. What about
We can all do better.
UTIs for babies? So Stacey, unmute yourself and tell us, like, how do you know that your baby has a UTI? Or Holly?
It's more unusual for babies to have.
Stacey says she's having issues with her baba with a UTI infections. I'd love to know more, Stacey, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. Falani says 1 drop of lavender to 10 mils of fractionated coconut oil. Yes, Falani. 1 drop. Shucks, I've done more, she says.
It's okay. Don't stress about that. I've had moms who are like, oh my goodness, what have I done? We have enough mom guilt. Don't worry about it. Obviously you're fine. Baby is fine. Everybody's fine.
Now,
It's just when you're doing it over time, right? You just don't want to be building up their body. Really, their tiny little bodies can metabolize these oils within seconds, within a minute at the most. But we also don't want, and it doesn't build up in their liver. That's the nice thing about pure oils, but we don't want to create any sensitivities to what's called overexposure, right? Because even adults can have that happen. I mean, I've met all kinds of wellness advocates who can no longer touch certain oils anymore because they just overdid it for too long, too much, not diluting properly. So you want to do as little as possible. And it's sort of like homeopathy that way, where you're actually better off to do a little bit more often. So that's what I tell all moms. I'd rather you do a little bit applied often than a whole bunch applied once a day, because your body metabolizes it so fast that it's in and out and done.
Okay, so Stacey, I saw that you came on briefly. She's actually been in hospital with her little Aylin for twice for UTIs.
How
Holly.
old is, you'd have to let me know, Stacey, how old baby is.
She's 9 months.
Oh,
I
9
don't
months.
Hear me.
Hmm.
Yeah, we
That's
can
very,
hear
it
you.
is unusual. It's not a common issue to have at that age.
No.
Yeah, it could just be with the way her urethra is. I don't know if they've told you anything like that, but some babies have a hard time eliminating properly. Yeah.
Mm.
So
So
for that one, I would stick with lemon is your main one. So lemon oil. So using lemon on the soles of her feet. You can also do lemon and what was the other one I said? Geranium. So a roller, a 10 ml roller with 1 drop of lemon, 1 drop of geranium. Actually, she's 9 months, so you could probably do 2 of each even in that one. And massaged over her bladder area, over the urethra direction from her belly button straight down. A couple times a day. Yeah, I would try that. It's more about the consistency of using that on a regular basis that would maybe make a difference. But there's usually with UTIs, there's a bacterial imbalance. So it's something going on in there. So a probiotic would be important.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the best I can give you. Sorry. That's a tough
Natasha,
one.
Natasha just wanting to know about On Guard.
Yes, sorry,
Or
Catherine,
maybe-
you're right. So Zendocrine is good on the soles of her feet too, Stacey, and juniper berry. Those are both really good ones. Juniper berry is more for bedwetting and things like that, but it does have a direct effect on the urethra, so, and the bladder. So those are good options.
So Natasha, On Guard, you know, Natasha knows this kids collection, the stronger is the blend that's similar to On Guard is.
So I don't like to use On Guard on anybody under 2, unless it's dire. Like if they're facing something really bad, then yes, we're going to do some serious dilution. I'm going to even use oregano, seriously diluted. But it would have to warrant that, especially on a daily basis, just for immune protecting. Stronger is amazing. It's got rose oil in it. Like that's your best thing you could use for anything. Even if you just use straight rose oil, like the rose roller has become my daily immune go-to. It's a lot of people don't realize that rose is one of your strongest cleansing oils for the skin, but also one of the strongest immune oils there are. It's also the highest, frequency vibration of oils, like all those things. It's very powerful. So remember rose. It's a good one.
It's what I use as a perfume and on my skin every day.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it.
I've actually gone through, I think you've covered most. There's some questions about kids and essential oils.
Yeah, if you've been using On Guard, don't stress. It's totally fine. Like I said, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just, I just find that there's no need for that strength of oil. Again, we want to ease our babies and our kids into full strength oils. That's the idea. So we want this to be a progress. We want it to be a progression of potency, a progression of spice oils. We want to save those as we move in. But if someone's unwell, like when I remember when Ashton was 2, he was sick and I was popping On Guard beadlets in his mouth because he didn't care, he'd eat them. So yeah, he got half a drop of On Guard internally. And if you asked Dr. Hill, he'd be like, no, I can't tell you that's okay. But if I asked him as a friend, he'd be like, heck yeah, go ahead, pop them in.
Holly, I've seen on your Oil Babies Facebook page, you massaging a 1-week-old baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so if none of you've been over, follow Holly on Instagram, and there's lots that you can learn from this lady. I mean, I've learned lots today for sure. Even Tarina's commenting on how much we've learned. We'll take one more question directly if anyone else got something to ask.
Best gift for a pregnant mama, I would say Claricom roller and the Calmer roller and the Tamer. Those are my 3. So when I give postpartum gifts, it's Claricom roller, Tamer roller, and Calmer roller. They get that little bundle with a little ribbon on it. There you go. Because then they're all set. And you guys, I like I said, if you want, we do ship worldwide. I don't know how fast it gets to South Africa, but we do have a full baby shop. So oilbabies.com is a full baby store. We have postpartum things for moms. We have, like I said, just the basics for babies, but it's not Babies R Us. It's not a commercial baby store. It's very specific. I only handpick ethically sourced, usually women owned businesses and things like that. So you can always check on there too.
Now
Best oils for labor. Oh man, there's a lot of those. Deep Blue, 100%. It's your epidural in a bottle. I didn't say that. That's not compliant.
Which means I can't put this video public, but I
Darn
wouldn't-
it. No, I said I can't say that, so it's fine.
Yes,
that
but I
back.
can't have your mom watching this video and finding out that you're 8 weeks
That's
pregnant.
right. That's right. You got to wait at least a couple weeks. I'll tell you.
Anyway.
Yeah. So deep blue is a must-have for labor. Peppermint is a must-have, either beadlets or oil, and any calming oil, any balance, any grounding oils. Those are, you take your pick. Helichrysum and Clary Calm or Clary Sage. That's my doula bag of oils.
Awesome.
My shop name is, it's just oilbabies.com. That's my website. And Daphne's lovely son is in the process of building me the most amazing new shop site, because right now it's not meant to be a shop site, but it's there if you need things.
Awesome, Holly. I'm still a bit reluctant to mail stuff to South Africa because I wonder if it actually gets there.
I know.
Give me a thumbs up if I would say no. Rather
So here's
say-
what I could tell you though, and Daphne, maybe this might help too, I don't know, but I have shipped things from my friend who kind of works as my assistant in England. She sends things to South Africa all the time.
Okay.
So I have a UK account with her that I send things occasionally. I
right.
have something to keep in mind. We can always try that too.
Holly, thank you. I've learned lots and I really I'm broody now. It ain't gonna happen. Okay. But I can be a grandma one day.
That's right. You're
Definitely,
moving into
Jean,
the
maybe
next-
one day I'll be a grandma. All right. I'm going to do a giveaway. Okay. Anybody want to win a kids collection? If I don't see your hands up.
Yes.
All right. The only way that I can do this easily is share my screen. Holly, give me a number, please.
Oh,
okay.
I'm gonna say 25.
Okay. I'm going to go to Sunduit where you all registered. Sorry, if you didn't register, you're not in. And I'm going to look for the 25th person who registered. Okay. If you're on this call, you win the kids collection. If you're not and you're watching the recording, I am sorry. All right. You show up, you win. Tarina,
right.
what's that face for?
That's fair.
If you're a builder on my team,
taking action.
if you're a builder on my team, you're going to be generous with that collection. Okay, let's look. Amy's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, Daphne's 11. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Juanita Kutsia. Is Juanita on here? Somebody tell me. Oh my goodness.
It feels
Okay,
like
give me another number, Holly, quick.
Hey, 10.
All right,
We'll keep
1,
it
2,
small
3,
time.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Danny Latus. Really? Are these guys, they're going to not be happy. Okay,
Okay,
I'm
we're
going
gonna
to
do
do
a bigger number. Do a bigger number. Let's do 60.
60.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, here we go counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Next page. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Falani! Woo! I'm sorry, she's my friend. That was not rigged.
I love it when that happens.
All right, Falani, are you on here?
I am on here, but I haven't been on video because I'm breastfeeding.
Ach, man.
Oh.
Okay, so Holly, you said you had something to give away.
Yep, I have our teething oil and I have our baby balm.
All right. Okay, give me a number. Oh, I don't want to count to 60, guys. I'm going to go to the last person on the list.
There you go.
Last person on the list.
Perfect.
Because you decided to jump on right at the end. Shani Brill. Okay, and then I'm going to choose a number. I'll choose 20. So what did Shani win? What did you, Holly?
Oh, the teething oil.
Okay, I'm going to do a number. I'm going to do 33. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Trudy van Wyk. Is Trudy here? Is she? Somebody tell me.
I'm here.
Ah, yeah, Trudy. Anyway, so well done, everyone. If you want anything, you need to message Harley Lowe. For the 2 things, Falani, oh, if I can get into South Africa next month, I will be
Here,
there.
I'll
with
put
it.
I'll put my email in the chat here.
Okay. Did
Just
you
email
guys
me.
enjoy that? Did you learn something?
Yes, but I'm gonna have to make notes.
Feel free
Yeah.
to follow along on, if you're on Instagram, it's just Oil Babies. You can follow along there. If you follow me personally, you're welcome to as well, but that's not where all the baby stuff is.
All
So.
right. Holly, thank you. So appreciate you.
Thank
God
you.
bless
It's great to see
everyone.
everybody. Woo.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.